So we have here, Eric has been assigned the task of determining how many odd 4-digit numbers there are. Let's talk about odd numbers. So when I ask people, how do you know if something is odd or even, they'll say odd or even numbers are divisible by 2, which is a true statement, but it doesn't help in this with the fundamental counting principle. So I'm going to give you numbers, and you're going to tell me if they're odd or even. Got it? 4. Even. You have. I was kind of get a little scared when I gave it to first. Some people like say odd. It scares me. 4 is even, yes. 34. Even. 974. Even. 1,397,504. Even. Okay. 98,947,763,904. Even. What are we only looking for? That last digit, right? So if it says that it needs to be an odd 4-digit number, 4 digits means it has to have 4 blanks, right? Each one of these contains a digit. But this back number needs to be odd, right? Now, I told you whenever we draw a blank, only one object can go in that blank, right? So yesterday we talked about colors, and I said it was like it was that wooden toy, right? And only one color could go in the first blank, but I could have 5 options, let's say. And another color could go in the next blank, but I could have 3 options. And one color could go in the last blank, and I could have 2. And the fundamental counting principle only works that way. You have to be able to have a blank, each blank, and you can only put one thing in each of those blanks, right? So for example, this first blank, I can't put the number 12 in it, because that's actually 2 numbers, a 1 and a 2, correct? So every single one of these blanks can only contain the 1-digit numbers, which are the ones that are in front of your face. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? It's all these papers, these ones. The ones that can fit in front, right? So I have the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sitting here, right? And those are the options I have for these blanks. But if it says odd, I can only have what numbers for that back blank? 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. So I put them back here. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Right? I can have 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 here. Yes? Which is 5 options. So I put the 5 up here. The 5 doesn't represent that I'm actually having a 5 in that blank, correct? We talked about this yesterday. That 5 represents how many options I have, right? So this 5 represents that there are 5 options for this blank, for this position. Right? Now, if it says a 4-digit code, not number, if it said a 4-digit code, my code could be 0000, right? My house is broken into, but it could be 0000. We agree? But if I say a 4-digit number, could I tell you that a 4-digit number is 0367? Is that a 4-digit number? No, what is that? It's a 3-digit number with a 0 in front of it, correct? So, if they say odd 4-digit numbers, what are they indirectly telling me? They're telling me the back digit has to be odd in order for it to be an odd 4-digit number, but also what can't the front digit be? 0. And everyone forgets about that. But it can't be a 0. They're not going to say, well, how many odd 4-digit numbers are there? Remember, the first digit can't be a 0 or it's not a 4-digit number. They're not going to say that, right? They're going to say 4-digit numbers. 4-digit number means this first one cannot be a 0. And I always have to deal with restrictions first. So I have to deal with the back and the front of this one. Does it say I can't repeat or anything on there? No. So I can repeat, right? So even though I had the options 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, I get all of these blanks back. All of these numbers come back again. And I get to use any of these 10 numbers in that front blank. But that first blank just can't be the what? 0. So I cover it up. So what options do I have for the first blank? I have 9 options. I have 1 to 9. Right? Because I just can't have a 0. Which is 9 options. Right? Then I get all of these numbers back again for the second blank, and I only have to kick some of them out if there's restrictions. Are there any restrictions on those middle two numbers? No, so they can be what? All of these ones, right? All the ones that are in front of you. So what could they be? The numbers what? 0 to 9. So this could be 0 to 9, which is actually 10 options. And in high school, I got stuck here. I was like, you told me, sir, my teacher who was really good, I was like, you told me, sir, you can't have a double-digit number in that blank. Does the 10 represent that I have the number 10 there? What does that 10 actually represent? That there are 10 options. So am I actually putting a 10 in that blank? No, I'm putting 10 options. I'm putting the numbers 0 to 9 in that blank, which results in 10 options, right? I'm not putting a 10 there. I'm putting the number 0 to 9, which is 10 options. So I'm going to, this means 10 options. Right? And then this one I have 0 to 9 again, because there's no restrictions, which is 10. And then people will tell me that's 4,500. That is not 4,500. That is 910105. That is what that is. What do I have to remember to always put? Those multiplication dots, correct? You have to remember them. People will say, well, you know, if I do this equals 4,500, you know that I'm multiplying them. No, I don't. You are telling me that the number 910,105 is equal to 4,500. Is that true? No. But 9 times 10 times 10 times 5 is equal to 4,500. Those need to be closed dots as well. Closed dots are multiplication. Open dots are composition, which we're going to talk about in our very last unit of this year. Okay, so they all have to be filled in dots to show that they're multiplication. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, I'm going to get you guys to try this one on your own, but I'm going to give you a little bit of a talk first. So, this next one says Eric has now been assigned the task of how many odd 4-digit numbers there are which have no repeating digits. That means that if I use 1, I can't use it again. If I use the number 5, I can't use it again. Okay? So it doesn't change the fact that this back blank still has to be 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. That doesn't change because it's an odd 4-digit number, correct? So in this back blank, I would have 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. True? Those are my options. But the catch is that I have to leave one of them behind, correct? Because I can't repeat it. So does it matter which one I pick? No, I just have to leave one of them. So let's pretend I leave the 9. Well, then these would go back into my pool of numbers that I can use for the rest of the blanks. We agree? So how many options did I have for this blank? I still had 5. That didn't change. But if I can't repeat, I have to leave one of them behind. Okay, that's my hint to you. Try the question. Discuss it with someone beside you, in front of you, behind you, whatever. So, now if you have the papers, you can physically hold the paper there, right? But on a test, you're not going to have the papers. So what I do myself is I box and hold them. That's not a real thing. I just made it up so that it works. Okay, so I call it the box and hold. So whenever we have numbers that cannot repeat, we box and hold the number to pretend it's there. Just like I physically left a paper there, right? The way I show that I leave a paper here, let's pretend without having a paper, is I'll box and hold like the 9. Go away. So I pretend the 9 is there now, right? What can't be in the first blank now? The 9 can't be there, and what still couldn't be there because of the question? 0. The 9 can't be there, 0 can't be there, so I have 1 to 8, which is 8 options. And then this is where people mess up, in this blank. So let's pretend I hold the 8. If I have the papers, I don't mess up as badly. So if I hold the 8 here, and I held the 9 here, what do I actually have left for that blank? 8 options, 0 to 7. Because I couldn't use the 0 in the back blank, I can't use the 0 in the front blank. So a lot of people will tell me it's 1 to 7 here. Because you're just writing it out, you're not physically seeing the papers, right? So they'll put 1 to 7 here. And if you're someone who did that, if you're someone who put 1 to 7 there, star it, make yourself a little note, because these are your notes for you, right? Star it, make a note, highlight it, and say, don't forget to bring the 0 back. If you forgot to, you will forget again. Okay? Don't be like, oh, now I'm blessed with the knowledge. I'll never make a mistake. If you forgot now, you probably will forget when we practice it again tomorrow. Okay? So leave yourself a little side note. So remember, bring 0 back. So if you physically have the papers, you see the 0. But when you don't on a test, a lot of people forget about it. So 0 to 7, which is 8. If you forget to bring the 0 back, you're going to put a 7 there and then a 6. That answer will be on the test. Because remember, right answer, top 3 common errors. Right? So if you forget to bring the 0 back and put a 7 here instead of an 8, that answer will be there. It's often picked more than the correct one. So here we have 5. Here we have 8. Here we have 8 because we brought the 0 back. And then we'd have 0 to 6, which is 7. Which I think is 2,240. Okay? Now we're going to flip ahead. I know it's weird, but we're going to flip ahead to example 9. And then we'll come back. Okay. Example 9 is this one. So I want you, this one is even 4 digits. Does it say I can't repeat for that first one? No, it's not allowed to repeat. So you guys are going to try this one on your own, and then we're going to discuss this one. So even 4 digits. Try it out. Okay. Even 4-digit numbers repetition. Does it really change how you handle the question? No. Your back numbers, instead of being 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, are what? 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8. People are like, is 0 even? I don't know if 0 is even, but is the number 30 even? Yes, so 0 makes a number even. Is 0 even? I don't know. We can have a discussion about that. But the number 0 makes the an actual number even if it's in the back, right? So 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. If the number ends in any of those 5, it will be even. That's all we care about. Whether 0 is even, I don't really care. But 0 will make numbers even, right? And at the front, we can't have 0, but we can have 1 to 9, which is 9 options. And then we have no restrictions in the middle, 0 to 9, 0 to 9. So it's 10 and 10, which gets us 4,500, which is the exact same amount of 4-digit odd numbers, which actually makes sense because they should be the same amount, right? Whether you're even or odd. Okay. Now I would love for you to put your pencils down after you have that written because I need all of your brain power. Okay? Everyone's paying attention? I will lose people in this example. If you pay attention, I won't lose you. Okay? All right. So when we did odd 4 digits, we're not writing anything, we're not sidetracking at all. When we did odd 4 digits, we had 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 back here. We agree? Okay. If I picked the number 9 and boxed and held it, let's say, then I would have 1 to 8, which is 8 options. Yes? We agree? That's what we did? Okay, what if I was a rebel and was like, nah, I don't want to hold the 9, I'm going to hold the 7. So then I would have 1 to 6 and 9, which is also 8 options. Didn't change my number of options, just changed what I wrote below. Correct? If I picked 5, I would have 1 to 4, 6 to 9, which is 8 options. If I picked 3, I would have 1 and 2, 4 to 9, 8 options. If I picked a 1, I'd have 2 to 9, which is 8 options. No matter which of those 5 I boxed and held in that fourth position, I would end up with 8 at the very beginning, right? 8 options. They just look different, but there's still 8 options. So I would still take an 8 and multiply it by 8. We agree? Well, how about evens? Let's discuss those, because it isn't the same. Oh, goodness, Crystal. Grab a mitt. Get in the game. Touch the board. Okay. Do not write this. This is why your pencils are down, because this is going to be wrong. Okay. The back, if I have non-repeating even, if I pick 8 and boxed and held it, I would have 1 to 7 and 9, which is 8 options. We agree? Okay. If I pick 6, I would have 1 to 5, 8 and 9, which is 8 options. We agree? If I pick 4, I would have 1 to 3, 5 to 9, 8 options. If I pick 2, I have 1, 3 to 9, which is 8 options. If I pick 0, I have 1 to 9, which is actually 9 options. Do we agree? Is that a true statement? So all the blue ones, 2, 4, 6, and 8, would result in an 8 in the front. But if I held a 0, I would have 1 to 9, which is 9 in the front. How can I make that one case? Because if you boxed and held a 0, you would have 9. If you boxed and held 2, 4, 6, or 8, you would have 8. That's not going to give me the same answer, is it? So you actually have to do it in 2 cases. You have to do 2 cases. One case is going to be the blue options at the back, and they'll result in an 8 at the front, correct? The other case is going to be a 0 at the back, and it's going to result in a 9 in front, yes? So you're going to either have the cases where it's a 2, 4, 6, or 8 at the back, or you're going to have a case where it's a 0 at the back. What do we do when we use or? We add. My hand is giving it away. We add. Or add and multiply, correct? So that's when you have numerous cases, you will always add cases. Because you're going to have this case, or you could have this case. So you add them. Okay? So let's go back. You can pick up your pencils. Let's talk about this. So we're going to have one case where the back can be a 2, 4, 6, or 8. Or we're going to have a second case where the back can be 0 because it results in different options at the front. Okay? So let's do with the 2, 4, 6, or 8 first. If I box and hold the 8 or the 6 or the 4 or the 2, I will have, I'm going to pretend it's the 8, I'm going to have 1 to 7 and 9, which is 8 options. If you so chose to box the 6, you would still have 8 options. You boxed and held the 4, you would have 8. The 2, you would have 8. We agree? How many are at the back right now? How many different options do I have for this one? 2, 4, 6, and 8. How many is that? 4. Okay, I'm still doing not repeating, correct? So I'm still going to have to box and hold something now at the front. So I'm going to box and hold the 9. Then I'm going to have 1 to 7. Do I have 1 to 7? What do I have left for this blank? 0 to 7. Because I didn't box and hold the 0 here or here. So at that second blank, I do have that 0 back. Okay? See how that's easy to forget to put that 0 back? So I have 8 options for this one. Hold the 7, I have 0 to 6, which is 7. Okay, so I did the case where the back can be 2, 4, 6, or 8, which would give me an 8 for my first amount of options. Then I have to do 0. How many options if I have just a 0 back here? 1. But if I have 0, then this can actually be 1 to 9, which is 9. Hold the 9, I would have 1 to 8. Do I have to bring the 0 back? 0 was used, right? 0 is boxed. I can't bring a 0 back. I used it up straight here, right? So I have 1 to 8, which is 8, and then 1 to 7, which is 7. And then you multiply them and add them up, and you get 2,296. Okay, then we're going to flip back. Oh, sorry, does everyone have that? I just moved it, and I'm not convinced everyone has it. Does everyone have that? Cut. Next one says, car number plates in an African country consist of a letter other than I or O. Now let's discuss letters. In the alphabet, there are 26 letters. Of the 26, A, E, I, O, and U are the vowels. In math, we don't discuss Y as a vowel. Y is a consonant, always, okay? Because you would actually have to have a certain Y in a certain instance that makes it a vowel, and that's just confusing and crazy. So A, E, I, O, and U are our vowels. So there's 26 letters. There's 5 vowels and 21. Do you remember what not a vowel is? Consonant. Yeah. So everyone says constant. You are with it. Constant is a number without a variable. Consonant is not a vowel. Say consonant. And go with it. We're not reeling back the tapes. Good. It is consonant. So people do get constant and consonant mixed up. Constant is a number without a variable. Consonant is not a vowel. Okay, so there are 21 consonants, 5 vowels. We agree? Okay. So here it says car number plates in an African country consist of a letter other than I or O. So the first one can't be I or O. How many letters are in the alphabet? 26. If it can't be I or O, how many are there left? 24. Then followed by 3 digits. The first cannot be 0. So what can it be? If it can't be 0, it can be what? 1 to 9, which is 9. Does it say I can't repeat them or anything? Nope, so I assume I can, right? So then the next ones have nothing specified, so they can be 0 to 9. So that's 10 options, 10 options. Don't forget your multiplication dots. You will. Followed by any 2 letters which are not repeated, but can be the same as the first letter. So whatever the first letter is doesn't affect these 2. The only catch is that these 2 can't repeat each other. Okay? So the options I have for the first one are A to Z, or A to Z, which is 26, hold Z, and I have A to Y, which is 25, because I box and hold when I can't. Repeat. 14,040,000. I want you to try 7 by just counting, and then I want you to try 7 using the fundamental counting principle and see if you can figure out how to do this one using the fundamental counting principle. So we're also going to do it by just counting pathways. Try it out. If we just count these from P to S through Q, we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We agree? So, let me get rid of my lines because I have too many. But we would have 9 if we just added them up. So how could we do it with the fundamental counting principle? Well, we actually have 2 cases of ways that we can get from P to S, right? We can get the P to S through Q, or we can get from P to S through R. And if I use or, what am I going to use for mathematical symbol? Addition, right? So I'm going to figure out P to S through Q, and then I'm going to add it to P to S through R, right? Because it's either these paths or these paths. Now I can use the fundamental counting principle because I'm picking one path from P to Q out of how many? 2, correct? There's 2 paths right here. Then I'm picking one path from Q to S through, one path from Q to S from how many?
3.
Struggle's real. 3. Now I need to take these paths and a path from this one and a path from this one, so I multiply and I get 6 paths. So there's 6 different paths I could take from P to S through Q. Then from P to S through R, this one I'm picking one path from 3, and this one I'm picking one path from 1, which gets me 3. Now what's 6 paths or 3 paths? How many does that result in? 9, because or means I do what? Add. So I'm going to do 6 paths or 3 paths, which gets me 9 different paths. Okay? Then we're going to flip over. So this next one says the telephone numbers allocated to subscribers in a rural area consists of one of the following. The digits 3, 4, 5, followed by any 3 further digits. So it's 3, then 4, then 5, followed by 3 further digits. Or, so that's going to be 6 digits, correct? 3, 4, 5, followed by 3 further digits. Or the digit 2, followed by the digits 1 to 5, so the next one could have 1 to 5 in it, followed by 3 further digits. So we have 3, 4, 5, followed by 3 further digits. What do I do when it says or? Add. Digit 2, followed by digits 1 to 5, followed by 3 further digits. Okay? Try it out. We have the option 3. Go away. Fine, stay. 3, 4, 5, which is one option, one option, one option. We agree? And then we have 3 further digits, which it doesn't specify. So 0 to 9, 0 to 9, 0 to 9, which is 10, 10, 10, which is 1,000. Plus, then it says the digit 2, which is one option, followed by 1 to 5. That's 5 options. And then 3 for the digits. Go and look at your notes and see if you have multiplication dots. Probably don't. And your answer is 6,000. Yeah? Then we're going to go down here to the word English. So people are like, but it doesn't say that it can't repeat. On these questions, they're going to tell you they give you the word English. Okay? So if I hand you the word English, you have an E. There you go. How many do you have? You have 1. Here it is. Do I have numerous E's? Or do you just have 1 because they give you the word English? You have 1. You have an E. You have an N. You have a G. An L. And pull out papers. An I. An S. And an H. I'm a magician. This isn't going to be nearly as cool, though. Magicians like make things disappear. I'm just like, look, I have 7 letters. We're going to do things with them. Like normal. They're not going to disappear like a rabbit. Super boring. Not nearly as cool as magician. Anyway, pick a letter, any letter. See? I feel like a magician. Not nearly as cool. Are magicians cool? I don't really know. In my books, they are. Are magicians cool? Anyone else think they are? Yes. No? Yes. Okay. We're torn. So we don't know if they're cool or not. Okay, here they are. Could be Vanna White. She's on Wheel of Fortune if you don't know. All right. Now, for those of you who tell me you have unlimited E's, do you actually have unlimited E's? No, we went through this. You have 1. So when you're like, man, I can use E here, and then E. No, you can't. You have 1. So when they give you a word, you have to box and hold. It's like saying no repetition, correct? How could you repeat? If you had the word Lepp, L-E-P-P, you'd have 2 P's. There you go, because they give you the word. If I had L-E-P-P, now I have 2 P's, correct? Do I have an unlimited amount of P's? Now I got 2. You have whatever the word has. That's all you have. You don't get any extras, okay? So, let's read the question. Consider the number of distinguishable. Distinguishable just means I can look. They look and they look different. Like if I look and you have left, and then I switch the P's and you have left, do they look any different? No. So those would not be distinguishable. But if I gave you left and then I gave you help, those are different. You do not need to bring out a Scrabble book to see if a word is real. There's no such thing. They're just distinguishable, which means you can look. They look different. Do they have to be a legitimate word in the English language? No. Okay, just that they look different. So what we're going to do is we're going to read. I know it's a crazy concept, but we're going to read. So here it says, consider the number of distinguishable 4-letter arrangements. So we're not using all the letters. We're going to use 4 of the 7 letters, okay? We need to read. If we don't read, most of you on a test are going to do all 7. And then the answer to all 7 will be there. It's wrong, but you'll pick it. And then when you're over here, you're going to come over and you're all mad at me. And you're like, how is this not right? I did it perfectly. And then I'll be like, oh, the word 4. And they're like, oh, I didn't read. I'm like, yes, the problem was not reading. So we're going to highlight and read every single word, right? On tests. So we need 4 letter arrangements that can be formed from the word English. Okay? Determine the number of single 4-letter words from English if any letter can be in any position. So there's no restrictions here, so I can do them in any order. We agree? So how many letters do I have for that first blank? 7. I have all the papers, right? All of the Scrabble tiles. So I would have ENGLISH. No, you don't have to show all of these. I'm doing it to prove a point. Okay, so there's 7 letters for here. Then what do I have to do? Box and hold. Keep one. Okay, let's pretend I keep the E. It's not going to be working for me, is it? Oh. There, I kept the E. It's on the floor. All right, I kept an E. Then I have NGLISH. NGLISH, which is 6. Just written really stupid. Okay, pretend I hold the N. Then I would have GLISH. Writing is so messy. So I would have 5. Hold the H, let's say. Then I would have GLIS, which is 4. Then I have to remember to multiply using dots. And then I get 840. So there are 840 different words, distinguishable. I can make out of 7 letters, technically. Right? 7 different letters in the word English. All right. Let's do this one. The first letter must be E. So I have to deal with that first, right? All the restrictions have to be dealt with first. So I go here and I put an E. How many E's are there? 1. And what do I have to make sure I do? Box and hold it. So it's not allowed to be used in anything else. Do you agree? Then I have NGLISH, which is 6. Hold the N. Then I have GLISH, which is 5. Hold the G. Then I have LISH, which is 4. Remember to multiply them. And I get 120. Then this one is the first and last letters must be vowels. Now everyone's like A-E-I-O-U. No. You can only use the vowels that are in the word English. All I have in front of me is the English letter tiles, right? Like I don't have unlimited letters. Do you agree? I got these letters, the ones that are in this pile. So, what are the vowels I have to use? E and I. That's it. So, the first and last letters must be vowels. I can start at the first or I can start at the left. It doesn't matter. I always start at the left. It's just my thing. So I have E and I for here, which is 2. Then what do I have to remember to do? Yeah, box one. So I can box the E or the I. I'll box the E. Then I have an I back here, which is 1. Then I box the I. Then I have whatever's just left, right? So NGLSH, which is 5. Say I hold the H, then I have NGLS, which is 4. Which is 40. Now D says must contain G. Does it say where G needs to be? So G could be in the first blank, or, what do I do when I say or? Add. Or it could be in the second blank. I have to do a case where it's in the second blank. Or it could be in the third blank. Or it could be in the fourth blank. You try it out. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So G could be in the first blank, or G could be in the second, or G could be in the third, or G could be in the fourth. And there's still only 1 G that can be there, right? In each of them. And when you start with a new case, you get you get them all back, right? Every new case, you get all your letters back, right? If we use ands in between, you wouldn't get the letters back. So it's very different. So if there's ors, the moment you put a plus sign, you get them all back. Put a plus sign, you get them all back again. Okay? So I use up the G. There's 7 letters in English. So then I would have 6 left, then 5, then 4. Then here I would have 6, then 5, then 4. Then I would have 6, then 5, then 4. and I have a 6, then 5, then 4. Now, if I rearrange 1, 6, 5, 4, 6, 1, 5, 4, 6, 5, 1, 4, etc., and I put them out of order, do they give me a different answer when you multiply? No. Multiplication is commutative, right? So 2 times 3 is 3 times 2. Same thing. So these are all going to result in 120. So you could actually go 120 plus 120 plus 120 plus 120 and show all the steps, and it's totally fine. Or you can say, hey, every case is going to result in 120. G can be in 4 spots, right? So I'm going to get 4 different cases. So I could just go 120 times 4, and that's completely acceptable to say 480. Okay? Now, yeah. So if you look down here, these are the questions to try. These are your homework. So here's your questions. Here, and then there's the answers for them. Remember, worked out solutions are online if you get stuck, but you can't go on your phones right now anyways. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do attendance, but then I'm going to put up the worked out solution. So if you want to look something up, you can come up here and scroll through it. I'll show you what it is. I'll have this up here. So this is what I expect your homework to look like, not chaos, okay? This neat, if you're messy, I don't care. Like if your writing isn't as neat, but you can still make stuff neat even if you're a messy individual on writing, you know what I mean? You can still write your sentence out a little bit messy, but it should be like work and then sentence, or, you know, like not work here, sentence here, number 5 here, and then swirl back, and then write no words, and then your letters look like numbers. Like I've seen it all. I would also like it to be in a workbook. If you don't have a workbook, in loose leaf, but the loose leaf will then just all go together in some sort of duotag to be handed in to me, not stapled, okay? Because then you have to take staple out. I want your homework to go back into your binder if it's on loose leaf. So I would like it to be in one thing. And like I said, duotags are cheap for like 10 cents. So you can work on loose leaf, totally fine. When you hand it to me, it has to be in some sort of combined document to give it to me. Does that make sense? It doesn't have to be in a workbook. It can be on loose leaf. So you can come up here and you can, if you have questions on something, you can go through here and scroll and look and see what I did. Or, crazy fact, I'm in the room. I can just answer it right now. This is more so if you're stuck at home, right? So you can look it up. But like I'm here and I'm getting you. So if you can't figure something out, you can always put your hand up and let them answer. Okay? This is more so if you're stuck at home, doing homework and you just can't get how I got it. But if you really want to, you can scroll up here. But please just ask me if you have questions.